Okay. Okay, I just admitted everyone.
Perfect.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. I know I had said in the email that I sent, if y'all are comfortable turning your videos on, we would love that. We're trying to create a community of encouraged and empowered women. And I want to remind you guys, we will be filming. We're recording this session. So if you're not comfortable having your video on, that's totally fine. Just make sure you also have your mic muted, please. And if you guys are comfortable, you can introduce yourself in the chat, just if you're from an organization or if you're a student. And we're gonna wait for about 3 more minutes for everybody to hop on. We'll continue to admit people here. My name is Malia McMurray. If you don't know me, I am currently serving as president of Ignite at UTEP, and I have my vice president, Marcy, here as well with me.
Hello, my name is Marcella, and I'm the vice president of Ignite. Thank you all for joining us today.
I'm just gonna wait a couple more minutes.
I'm gonna go super quick and grab my charger.
Okay. We have a little women who ran. Okay, so for those of you who just joined us, welcome. We are gonna turn our videos on for this session if you feel comfortable. However, we will be recording, so just keep that in mind. If you would like to keep your video off, that is totally fine. And just make sure that everybody also keeps their mic off so that we don't have any disruptions. Again, my name is Malia McMurray, and I'm currently serving as president of Ignite at UTEP. Ignite is a nationally based, nonpartisan nonprofit that is dedicated to empowering and encouraging women to run for political office. So we believe that every single woman has political power within her, and our UTEP chapter is really dedicated to just encouraging and empowering each other to bring out that natural political voice that we all have. So I have my VP, Marcy, here with me, and we are both going to be interviewing Representative Ortega. I'm gonna admit her right now. So Marcy, if you wanna take over and introduce her.
Yes, so Representative Ortega, she serves in the District House of Representatives, number 77. She is a proud native El Pasoan and fronteriza Lina has a deep appreciation and love for the vibrant history and rich culture of the area she represents. She holds a degree in government and economics from the University of Texas at Austin and a Doctor of Jurisprudence from the University of Texas Law School. She began her public service as a Texas Assistant Attorney General in the Law Enforcement Division, and she then became Assistant of the Federal Public Defender in El Paso. And in 2016, she decided to take her public service a step further, and she decided to run for office. Welcome, Representative. We're very happy to have you here with us.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for inviting me to be able to talk to your group. It's always exciting to be able to have a conversation with smart, politically active young women in our community. So it's actually my honor to be here to answer your questions and to hopefully motivate you to, in the future, seek political office, because we need a heck of a lot more women that are representing us at all levels of government. So thanks, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. And just a reminder to everybody, if you guys have questions for the representative, feel free to go ahead and type them in the chat. And then at the end, we're actually gonna have time for you to turn on your video and your mic and ask her yourself if that's something that you would like to do. So let's jump right in. Representative Ortega, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from, where you grew up?
Sure. I actually was born in El Paso, so I've lived here all of my life. I'm married. I have 2 daughters, and I'm proud to say I've got some grandkids that unfortunately I'm not able to spend too much time with them right now. But I am a native El Pasoan, and I'm proud to call El Paso home. Even though I enjoy travel, it's always good to come back to El Paso.
Exactly. No, that's great. And we wanted to ask you as well, like, what led you to politics?
I have been involved in, I guess, in politics or the political scene since I was in college. As I just heard, I went to UTEP for a year, and then I transferred to UT Austin. And back then, and this kind of dates me, but I was actually active with the Raza Unida party. And so I was involved in political groups. I signed up, and I was a member. Well, I was selected to go to the state convention since I was living in Austin at the time. So that's something that has carried forward in terms of the, once I started in college, I got hooked. And I recognized the importance of actually being involved, because there are so many things that affect us, our day-to-day life activities, that politics has a lot to bear on things that happen. So yeah, I've been involved for a long time.
Absolutely. So was there a particular cause or interest that got you prompted into politics?
I guess in the sense that I knew that, it was easy to see the difference between El Paso and Austin, and going to school over there. And it was very clear to me at that young age that if I wanted to make change, the way to attempt and try to make change was in the political scene. And that was another reason that I also wanted to become a lawyer. So that was why I decided I wanted to go to the University of Texas at Austin, because I wanted to get accepted into their law school. And I was successful in getting accepted and getting my law degree. But as I came, knowing as a whole are underrepresented when it comes to local levels of government, county and state, as well as national. I recognize that not only are women underrepresented, but so are minorities. So in essence, I was a double minority, and I thought that we needed, I wanted to be there to, and it wasn't back then I was thinking of getting involved in running for office. It was more that I wanted to assist and help in improving the conditions and situations in my community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, oh, sorry, Marcy, go ahead.
I'm sorry. We wanted to ask as well, as you are right now, you're mentoring us to go with this path.
Mm-hmm.
When you were in your undergraduate and as well like on law school, were there any like a woman or a professor that mentor you to continue your path in politics?
You know, I have to say when in law school, back then, women were also just an incredibly small percentage of the students at the school. And I don't remember having a female law professor when I was there. So it wasn't a situation where I had a woman that could mentor me. And when I came back to El Paso, I also got into a very male-dominated profession, and there was not very many female lawyers. I decided that what I wanted to do as a lawyer was to be a trial attorney. And again, it was mainly practicing and dealing with men in the profession. But it did motivate me to work harder, because I think as a woman, you have to prove yourself for them to take you like you're someone that they're going to have to deal with. You've got to work harder. You've got to be smarter, and that's not difficult for women to actually be smarter in terms of the way they think. But so I can't say that I had a mentor. It wasn't until when I came back to my community that after, maybe within the next 10 years, there was more women that were starting to practice law in El Paso. And I did get involved in a group, a very political group of like-minded women who were just as interested as I was in our mission was to actually get more women elected to politics, to various positions. And we were actually very successful. I mean, that group, a member of that group was Veronica Escobar, our congresswoman. We had a lot of good people involved in that group, and we got a lot of females elected, not only in political positions, but as well as judges. And so we made some pretty significant change in El Paso. So they were my mentors. They were strong women who we were very opinionated. We still are. And we've helped each other along the road to get where we are now.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing to identify, because I've talked to so many women who, people always tell you, find a mentor, right? And I've talked to so many young women who are like, I don't have anybody in my life who I can look up to or can mentor me. And sometimes it does require us to look around us and just say, you know what? I'm going to empower the women who are around me, and we're going to do this together, because, that you might not have access to that. So that's really, really powerful. And you have been a mentor to a few of us on this call. I know that. So thank you for that. Do you ever personally feel as though you have struggled with self-confidence, specifically in your political career?
I don't think that majority of elected officials that it comes natural to become an elected official. I mean, I guess there has to be some people that are just that are that are, I guess, for lack of a better word, that are natural politicians, but I think the vast majority of people are not. And even though I was a trial attorney, that's very different than stepping into the political scene. And so there's lots of things that you have to learn along the way. And I think everybody makes mistakes, but that shouldn't be something that should stop someone from getting involved, because you do learn, and it's certainly a worthwhile step to take. Because as women, going back again to the fact that, for instance, in the state house, I was elected. I'm serving actually right now my second session, and during my first session, it seemed really unreal to me when I first stepped on the House floor to see the number of men. I felt like I was a young attorney coming back to El Paso when there were very few women. Our numbers are still very low. We've got 150 members, and at this stage on the House and the Senate side, we're only 25% of the lawmakers. So we still have a long way to go. And again, I suspect at this day and age, you probably do have a lot of more mentors that you can go to, that you can seek guidance, and that are more than willing, I'm sure, to help out.
Yeah. And relating to what you just mentioned, do you think that you face any type of like discrimination by being a woman in this huge place where it's predominant males?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, even this past session, it was when you're on the House floor, sometimes there's discussions that are taking place, and there was times that it was very obvious to us that it was men that were huddled together. And so we decided as female lawmakers that we would do the same thing. And so they started getting curious, like, what are you all talking about? So they went over there in the back of the House chambers trying to figure out what we were up to. And so in a way, it was a tactic that we used to let them recognize that we needed to be included in all discussions. So no, that's still taking place. But I believe that women are smarter, and I think that they recognize that they need us, and that we are a very important part of the process.
Absolutely. Yeah. Can you talk with us a little bit about advice, right? Being bipartisan and nonpartisan, but working across the aisle with somebody who you may disagree with in order to get a job done. What's your opinion on that? Have you done that? How do you do that?
That was one of the things that I had to give a lot of thought to before I decided to run for a state representative, because I mean, we all know that Republicans are the state leaders, and that coming from El Paso, that is predominantly Democrat, that if elected, I would be serving in a chamber that was controlled by Republicans, and having to, of course, think about how I was going to act and what I needed to do in order to be successful. So it's, when people were asking me, are you going to run? Are you going to run? I initially would tell them, I really have to think about this, because I've got to make sure that I'm ready to accept the fact that I'm going to have to be working with some very conservative Republicans. And I consider myself to be a progressive Democrat. And it was finally when I, in my own head, said, yeah, I can do this, that I decided to go ahead and accept that and decided to run. So as soon as I stepped on that House floor, I knew that not only was I going to be representing my community, but to be effective, I was going to have to work with Republicans. And it actually has not been very difficult, because there are some very, there's some Republicans that are easy to work with. There are some that are very difficult. But you learn a lot from listening to the other side. And you recognize, okay, where can there be compromises? What can we do in order to get to a meeting ground, in order to save a bill that you want to pass? And that happens. And I in essence, I was actually doing the same thing as a trial attorney, because it's also, it's a situation where there's two parties that are pulling in opposite direction. And as a lawyer, you have to recognize where can you compromise in order to still be, to do a good job for your client. And I'm using the same tactics as a lawmaker. So yes, you've got to work with Republicans. You've got to say, I guess another little I should add to it, sometimes even as Democrats, we disagree. You don't always agree on every single issue. And so you even have to talk to your colleagues and convince them at times why they should support you on a certain issue. So I guess at this point, I don't always view it as Republican and Democrats. I view it more as, is this a good piece of legislation that I think is good for our community as well as the rest of the state? And what am I going to do in order to pass this legislation? So yeah, it's good. It's good to work with all sides. You learn a lot from doing that.
Absolutely.
I can imagine. We wanted to ask you as well, like, how do you think we can best keep the youth, especially young women, engaged in civic process and ready to run for office?
Well, I think what you're doing, and what I've learned about this organization is that's exactly what you're doing right now. And then going back to what you asked, when did I become involved? I think at the college level, you're doing the right thing by getting involved in organizations that kind of open up your eyes, that it doesn't matter whether you come from a poor family or a rich family, either person can succeed, and it's just a matter of being committed. But to get civically engaged, what you have to do is actually also go out there and not just one organization, but get involved in many organizations, and also help out candidates, someone that's running for office that you believe in, because that teaches you a lot in terms of what you would need to do if you decided to run for office. But it also opens doors. You get to meet many interesting people, and these are persons that later on down the road that could actually help you in getting elected. So it opens up many doors, and you're also doing something that is at the same time helping your community. Like, for instance, helping register people to vote. I mean, that's something that all of you ought to be doing and working on. Right now, working on the census, making sure that you get the word out, and you're telling families, helping them, reminding them that they need to get themselves counted, because that affects our community in terms of funding. I mean, we have a large working community, and those little things that you do actually help us. In Austin and in DC, people notice, how many people vote in your community, and those state leaders pay attention to that, and they community. So what you now think where it's a great start, but you have to continue it.
Absolutely. Is there a particular rewarding story in your time in office that you're really proud of?
I guess in terms of something that was rewarding is that because I'm a lawmaker, the most rewarding thing is passing legislation. So as a freshman, I was able to pass several bills that ultimately were signed by the governor. And it's not an easy process to pass legislation, much less get it signed by the governor, knowing that he's on he's different party. But it's many times when you start off as a freshman, people don't expect much of you. So you may pass a bill getting a highway named. And so it's common for freshmen to pass a couple of bills like that. But I actually was able to pass substantive legislation that made a difference statewide. So that was a good feeling because it's a lot of hard work when you're in Austin, and it's long hours and it gets very tiring. And I mean, we're the city that's the farthest away from the capital. So you're taking time away from your family, from your friends, and you're kind of on your own over there. And so to actually accomplish something like that is very rewarding. I was also recognized as being the freshman border legislator of my session as a freshman. So that was also nice.
Yeah. What do you think set you apart? I mean, obviously you worked incredibly hard, but to be able to do that, like what made you, I don't know, just thinking about it, I think most people would be like, okay, there's low expectations as a freshman, I can just go in and, but like you did not do that. Like you went in full force. What was that drive? Like, where did that come from?
That's a tough question. I suspect it's just my personality.
Yeah.
That I'm someone that wants to accomplish. And you file a lot of bills and you have to think about the bills that you file, but you know that there's a lot that you also learn during your first session. I have to say it was just determination and hard work and wanting to make sure that I had a successful session, not for me personally, but for my community. And I also think that we had a good delegation. We were all able to work together. And that's something that our community in the past has had problems with. And so it was good that we were all kind of on the same lines, same page.
Absolutely. So, I mean, the phrase or the topic of women empowering women, I feel like that's a huge thing that's been going on recently in society as well. Women, we got to empower women. But realistically, have you seen that specifically working in the House of Representatives?
Oh yeah, I definitely have. I mean, before the start of last session, when we were able to go out there and campaign, there was a group of women from the House that got together and we went out there and we campaigned for female candidates that were running for the House. Yeah. So we as women in the House, we would get together at the end of the day for a while every week, and we would talk about the problems that we were having and seek advice from one another as well as help on bills. So yeah, I think we were helping one another, and I think that all of us recognize that we've got to improve in our numbers, and so I try to, in my office, I hire females to work with me, And again, I still believe women are harder workers majority of the time. But I also want to give them an opportunity to learn about the process, because if you know how the process works, you won't be afraid to run for office later on, because you know what to expect.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if anybody wants to volunteer as an intern, we also have that available at our office.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's amazing. If you could look back and tell your 20-year-old self a piece of advice, what would it be?
Not to give up.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that everybody has their bad times. I mean, everybody gets down, especially when you're a student, like if you're disappointed in a grade that you might make, or things are sometimes not going as well as you expected. But if you continue to persevere, and you have to believe in yourself. And you've got to always be open to, again, listening to other people, because, I mean, it's always good to have friends, family, allies that help you when things are tough. So it's not, and also not to be afraid, not to give up, not to be afraid. And I mean, if you follow those two things, it's not like you've got to be rich to be successful. I mean, I came from a working class background. I grew up in a family with 7 kids. So it wasn't a situation where things were handed to me. But again, if you're willing to work hard, you can succeed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's fine. I think we're going to move to the Q&A question. Thank you so much for answering all of our questions. So we're going to ask the participants if you want to read your questions, or if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask them to the representative.
Just make sure you unmute your mic so we can all hear you.
And can you guys hear me well? I mean, I'm using earphones because sometimes there's a lot of static on my end, but it's good?
It's good. It's been
Okay.
perfect.
All right.
I can go ahead and start with one that we got via social media. Was among the many important issues for the next legislative session, what priority will you give to ending gerrymandering with an independent citizens redistricting commission?
Let me start by explaining, giving a little bit of background on that question. First of all, that should be #1 priority for any Democrat in this state. So it would be top priority for me. Last session, I co-authored a bill in order to set up an independent commission on redistricting. But that bill didn't even get a hearing. So there was a lot of Democrats supporting that bill, but it wasn't a popular bill with Republicans. And I don't need to go into detail as to why, but we are looking at potentially increasing our numbers in November. If we're close to being even on our numbers, or if Democrats actually overtake the House, then we're basically assured on getting that the bill will be filed again, on getting a committee hearing on that legislation, and we would have a better chance in the future looking at an independent commission for redistricting. The bad thing is it only happens every 10 years, as we all know. And so that's why this November election is crucial. We obviously are not going to have a new governor, but sometimes there's negotiations that take place if we're able to turn the House blue. So it would be high priority if we can do it. I will again put my name behind that bill, but the success of it depends on what happens in November.
Yeah, absolutely. The second question we got via social media was, how do we increase state funding for education at all levels?
This is not a good time to increase. When you say state funding on education, it's specifically, correct? Is that what you asked?
Yes, ma'am. So increase state funding for education at all levels.
Okay. All right. We at the last session increased funding for education, and it was a huge success, and we were able to do it. But then our budget was very strong. We increased salaries for educators, for teachers, and for support staff as well at public schools. I've got to say that it's going to be very difficult at the next session. The governor has already asked state agencies to submit a budget to decrease, in essence, their submission for a budget by 5%. We just got some numbers from the state comptroller. Our sales taxes down. We have problems with the oil and gas revenue. Majority of state revenues are down. So our budget, we have been told by the comptroller, is going to be down by billions of dollars. And so it's going to be a very tough session. And so again, we're going to be fighting for how money is going to be distributed across our state. So I don't expect that there's going to be an increase in education funding. The best that we could do is to maintain where we are, and hopefully we will be able to do that. It's not good to have to cut back on what our schools are receiving, because I honestly believe that they should actually get more money. So we'll see what's going to happen.
We're going to continue with the questions from the chat. I'm going to start from the bottom to the top. This question is from Marlene. Thank you for the question, Marlene. It says, what were the 3 top El Paso issues you wanted to tackle when you were first elected?
One of the issues that I think has always been very important for this community is healthcare. We have a significant number of El Pasoans that have no insurance, and many people do not seek healthcare services because they don't have money to pay for it. And one of the things that I was trying to do was increase coverage for not only women, but anyone that needed to be insured. So having more healthcare services, benefits was very important to me, because the state of Texas has refused, through leadership again, this occurred several years back, to accept Medicaid funding. And we are at the bottom when it comes to people that are insured, and that affects us in so many ways. So healthcare was a big thing for me. I actually have wide interest in terms of legislation. To me, anything that promotes economic development in El Paso is really important, because our tax base comes from residential properties rather than commercial. and to increase economic investment in this community, or to do things, pass legislation, laws that make it easier for people to say, hey, I want to be in El Paso business, helping fund small businesses. So economic development was another big issue. One of the things that I also have been working really hard on is transportation, because we, and maybe I should put this a different way, there is monies that for this community has to fight hard to receive it. We've got, many years ago, I became aware of the fact that our community is not funded as it needs to be funded in different areas, and one of them is transportation. So it's inequities in state funding and trying to see how we could improve that. So all of those were focuses, as well as consumer rights. I mean, it was a broad focus, filing bills, dealing with elections, I actually filed a bill on having everybody be allowed to vote by mail last session, and I didn't get anywhere with it. I mean, I couldn't even get a hearing on it. I wanted the Secretary of State to actually educate people on what it takes to vote, just plain old education, spend some money on that. Again, I couldn't get that passed. So there's so many things that you can do at the state level, and there's so many things that affect our community. It's broad and wide in terms of what you can do.
You mentioned something very important. Like, I think right now we're facing the pandemic, and not being able to have the ballots by mail. That's
Right.
going to be an issue for some.
Yes.
But I'm going to continue with another question. So the last question, no, we have two more questions. Who do you think Biden will pick for vice president? Who do you want him to pick?
Well, I don't know if there's any specific women. I think that he will select a woman to run with him. And I know that he has said that, and I think that that's very exciting, because our great country has never had a top female at the helm, and so in its time, and there are lots of talented, experienced leaders, female leaders, and so it's hard to say this is who I want. But Kamala Harris potentially is someone that is being considered, but there's so many of them. So hopefully we will know that within the next few weeks as to who his committee has decided is the one that Biden should invite as his running mate. Elizabeth Warren, I supported her. So it's, we'll see.
We'll see. Another question. This is from Marlene. It says, an Amazon fulfillment center is coming in El Paso County. There have been many nations news articles about their poor treatment of workers. How or what can we do to be alert to this and find ways to get transparency and address these potential issues?
I was not aware that there was issues with the way they treat their workers, but if that is a problem, it's something that should be spread wider within the community. I, at the same time, welcome Amazon to come to El Paso, because that means a lot more jobs in our community. And again, commercial, going for that property tax. And I'm sure, I mean, the size of the warehouse is going to be huge, but I think that it's important, if that has been a problem in other places, that we need to keep a watch on that and make sure that they are paying their employees the way they're supposed to, that they're providing benefits as expected, seeing what they do in other places, and if there really is a problem, that we become aware of it and do something.
Another question, this is from Alisa. Her question says, though it's early, could you speak to some of the possible impacts and changes in state appropriations to educate as a result of the economic changes related to the pandemic?
All right, if I understand that correctly, are there, will the appropriation bill take into account the problems that we've had with the pandemic, all of the, I guess the related cost? Well, with that, I'm hoping that it's the federal government that is going to be assisting and continues to assist. I know there's talk now of additional funding through the CARES Act. And I think that the state is expecting monies from the feds, because I think that this state is going to be hurting because of the pandemic. Kind of like what I talked earlier with the loss of a state revenue. And our governor tells us often about these weekly meetings that he's having with the president, that all governors across the state are having, and discussing the issues that we expect to have. So on the state side, I think we're going to have to be smarter in the way that monies are going to be distributed. The one thing that concerns me, of course, is local funding, and making sure that our city and our county have the resources that they need, as well as our public schools. Because I know that we've been hearing from our superintendent and his staff that they're concerned in making sure that they get reimbursed for all of the costs that they're incurring right now, because they still haven't. And this is going to continue for a while, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, so does anybody, I'm going to open it up. Does anybody have any last minute questions they would like to ask? If not, we're going to move on to the last portion. Okay, so thank you so much, Representative. I think we answered a lot of really pertinent and really great questions. I feel inspired. I'm sure everybody else does as well. We wanted to do something special at the end and actually introduce some of District 77 staff members. So with us today, we also have Cassandra, who is the district director. We have Brianna, who is the community liaison. And we have, I believe we still have Brooke Bennett, who is out of the Austin office. She is chief of staff. So if y'all want to take turns let's start with Cassandra, and just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Hi y'all, I am Cassandra Urrutia. I work for Representative Ortega. I've been with her for a little over a year now, actually. I had the opportunity to go out to Austin with her last session to work the 86th legislative session. So that was an amazing opportunity for me because I had never been involved in anything like that before. I have two babies, two little girls. So I think it's really amazing that you all are doing this. This is definitely something that I would want them to experience as they go through school and through college. And I didn't have a mentor growing up, the way, you know, like Lina was saying, it just, oh, there's one of them. Hi. But they're gonna video bomb, I'm sorry. But yeah, so I just think it's absolutely great what you all are doing. And so what I do for the representative, I just, you know, help her with pretty much anything that she needs. I do her scheduling, so if anybody ever needs to get in contact with her, schedule anything, invite her to any events, she's always out there in the mix, so just let us know. I can drop my contact information in the group chat for you all. And I also help with some of the policy stuff. I'm just getting an opportunity to work on some of that stuff this year, so I'm really excited about that. But if you all ever need anything from us, please let us know.
Thank you, Cassandra. All right, we have next Brianna.
Hi guys, good evening. Thank you guys so much for logging in. So my name is Brianna Holcomb. I previously started with Lita as her intern in January, and that was a really great experience. And I most recently got onto her staff as her new community liaison. So yeah, this is all very new to me, and I'm just very appreciative of the strong, you know, women that I have on the staff, and they've definitely given me like the self-confidence that I definitely did not have, you know, at the beginning of the year in terms of politics and organizing and things like that. So in terms of my position and what I would do for Lina, well, with all that's going on right now, it's not as much as public organizing and things as I would like it to be. So right now it's mostly constituent work, you know, things with our newsletter, social media. Our office is also helping out with the Texas Workforce Commission and helping people in terms of getting, you know, their aid and their claims that they need. But yeah, thank you guys so much for logging in tonight. I think it was a really great conversation, and yeah, I'm just super blessed and grateful to be part of the staff.
Awesome, thank you, Brianna. Brianna is also an active member of Ignite. She is amazing. And next we have Brooke with us.
Hi, I'm Brooke Bennett Galindo, Representative Lina Ortega's Chief of Staff here in Austin. Thank you for putting this together, Malia and Marcy, and leading us through a great conversation with Representative Ortega. I have worked in the Texas House of Representatives for 8 years, which to say that out loud is kind of horrifying. I've worked for Representative Ortega for almost 4, and since she was elected, and worked both of sessions with her, I direct her policy agenda and mainly work on policy and bill implementation during the interim. And I've had the opportunity to speak to Ignite, the summer retreat in Austin, several years. And so I'm familiar with this organization. It's wonderful, and I'm so glad that y'all have such a robust chapter and participants. If y'all, once people can travel, if you're ever in Austin and would like a more personalized Capitol tour, of course, we'll drop my information. I am mainly in Austin, so I'm always here to, and especially during session, always reach out. We're never too busy to help connect people from El Paso to what we do in Austin, because it does affect folks back home. So really enjoyed working. I'm born and raised in Austin. I really enjoyed working for a rep from another part of the state, and El Paso is truly unique, and I feel grateful to work to represent such a diverse and wonderful community. So thanks to everyone for your time.
Thank you so much, Brooke. I just want to quickly say thank you to all the women that have spoken up on Representative Ortega's staff, and especially, of course, Representative Ortega. I know you all have played an influential role in my life and leading me to politics. I don't have a traditional background either, and so I know there's numerous women on this call, Raneem as well, and you guys have mentored us, so thank you so much to all of you guys, because each and every one of y'all is absolutely incredible. We're super thankful for you guys.
Well, no, and I want to stress thank you for doing this and for being a part of this organization, because everything that I've learned about it, I think it's a fantastic organization to be involved in, and it's a good way to get involved in the political arena. and know that you can be successful. You just have to keep at it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for those last words of encouragement. And again, thank you so much for joining us, Representative Ortega. I'm going to go ahead and drop also the Instagram for Representative Ortega so that you guys can follow up with them. And then I would just like to close out. So thank you all for joining us. If y'all want to stick around, if you have any questions, I'm here and available. I'm going to stick on for a couple minutes. I'm also going to drop the link for our next Women Who Ran, and as well as our email and our Ignite UTEP Instagram, so that you guys can contact us if you want to know more about Ignite, or if you know you want to become a member. We would love to have you on our team. So yeah, thank you so much, Representative.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
And
Y'all
thanks
stay
so-
safe.
Yes.
And if you ever have any questions or you need our help, you know that we're there and you know who to contact.
Yes,
Thank you
perfect.
so
I
much.
believe Cassandra and Brooke just both dropped their info. So thank you both for that.
All right, great.
Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
you. Bye.
Like I said, I am going to stick around for a couple minutes. This is the doc for our next Women Who Ran. And if anybody has any questions, I'm here. Thank you, guys.
Okay, but how is she the cutest?
Hi.